imitation of the West. It should not be allowed to remain an imitation of the West, nor should it be left to for professional training, personal advancement, and material gain. These views must open the heart and the minds of the professionals who are working in international Islamic universities or in Islamic universities anywhere. Merely the economic and pragmatic needs of the student for professional training, personal advancement, or material gain. No. The educational system must be endowed with a mission. And the mission must be none other than that of imparting Islamic vision and cultivating the will to realize it on the largest scale. Thanks to Professor Kamal Hassan, who elaborated the mission of IIUM clearly. As being one of the most important aspects of Islamization of knowledge, Abdul Hamid emphasized the issue of the development of Islamic thought. He emphasized again and again. Dr. Abdul Hamid contended the root cause of the decline of the Muslim Ummah lies in the decline of the Islamic thought. Therefore, logically, the development of the Islamic Ummah lies in the development of the Islamic thought. IOK focus is on the development of Islamic thought. He argued the stagnant nature of Islamic thought and its methodology caused overall decline of the Ummah. The Islamic thought in general is imitative and repetitive, theoretical and conceptual, badly lacks the quality of empirical and rational approaches and understanding. Therefore, it has lost its dynamic role of guidance and leadership. Therefore, Abdul Hamid genuinely stated that the Ummah achieved unparalleled development in the past because the development of Islamic thought, which generated energy, commitment, dedication, desire among the members of the Ummah for civilizational development. IOK also emphasized on the need of development in Islamic methodology or traditional methodology. And Abdul Hamid has devoted chapters and chapters in two of his books, Crisis in the Muslim Mind and International Relations. In international relations, especially the chapter 3, Reform of Methodology, is an eye-opening. I want to suggest textual reading in the Usuluddin department. And I think these two books, the Muslim Crisis in the Muslim Mind and International Relations, New Direction for Thought, Methodology and Thought, should be included. As thought was continuously developed, the dynamic Islamic thought was generated on the basis of a proper reading of the fundamental text of Islam, the Quran and Sunnah in time, space, context, based on observation and experience of surrounding social realities in which these scholars were living and interacting. He gave an example. I quote, Europe, armed with dynamic ideas and efficient methods based on the empirical and rational approach, confronted the static and rigid Muslim frame of mind, which rested on textual deduction within the limits of the early Muslim models. The Muslims' thinking had lost touch with reality, social reality, political reality, scientific and technological reality, and they were incapable to for the regeneration and reorientation in the light of new developments and demands. On methodology, Abdul Hamid wrote so much. He explained the issue of time, space in detail, as I said, in his book. And he maintained that the change of time and space requires the change of the structure of social institutions. If the Islamic thought does not respond to the required structural changes, it will lose its dynamism. Any reform that ignores, Abdul Hamid argues, any reform that ignores this fact of or suggests otherwise does not show real awareness of the influence of the Quran on Muslim minds. He identified some of the shortcomings of the traditional methodology and commented that classical as well as contemporary scholars and thinkers for the most part overlook the concept of time-space principle and its relation to the structure and application of research methodology. In addition, they also ignore the importance of empirical data and the employment of a rigorous, rational, and systematic approach. They need to take into consideration both text and reason and social realities. They are not empirical and experimental and do not at a time use both induction and deduction. Dr. Abdul Hamid asserted that there is an urgent need to make the empirical, rational, systematic approach as an integral part of traditional Islamic methodology. Abdul Hamid argued, generally in so-called religious studies, the textual and content analysis is emphasized. No serious attention is paid for the systematic application of reason and sense perception. Consequently, scholars lose their attachment with the main stream of society. In modern periods, according to Abdul Hamid, Muslims in their studies in social and natural sciences do apply the rational and empirical tools, but purely in modern methodological context. In modern methodological context, researches are done. At present, the Muslim system of education, Abdul Hamid says, still lacks originality and depends on imitation of an alien system of research and investigation. Alien system of research and investigation. He said in the beginning, after the revelation of the Quran, the most of the works produced by Islamic scholars were in many ways logical, systematic, rational, and empirically supported evidence, because they were directly benefiting from the Quran and the Sunnah. No doubt, Abdul Hamid argues, Islamization of knowledge movement started with the realization of the problem of modern knowledge and education. But later on, it was explained and extended to the context of the rise and fall of the Islamic Ummah. Islamic methodology, Islamic thought and civilization. The fall of Islamic methodology, Islamic thought and Islamic civilization. In this way, a kind of relationship was established between knowledge, education, methodology, Islamic thought, development of the Ummah by Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, and emphasize. He said, if we are determined to achieve the sustainable development, there is no other way except to bring development in Islamic methodology, in ways of doing research from Islamic point of view, in Islamic thought, in everything. Since then, Islamic thought and methodology have become the central themes of the movement of Islamization of knowledge. Dr. Abdul Hamid, based on his studies, experiences, and diagnosis of the ummatic problem, claimed that in the past, the methodology of Islamic thought was developed systematically and applied by the scholars for reading and interpretation of Islamic texts in time, space, context. If we argue with our good committed Islamic brothers who are involved in Islamic activities for the last 30, 40 years, they are not ready to think anything fresh. This approach to methodology played a big role in developing Islamic thought, because they were directly going to the realities as well as to the original sources. In this methodology, neither any reform was introduced, nor it was further developed during preceding centuries. Which consequently has caused stagnation in Islamic thought and its methodology. The undeveloped nature of existing methodology in Islamic thought resulted, according to Abdul Hamid, in the decline of the Ummah. Hence, he concluded that it is the methodology of Islamic thought which basically is responsible for the development of dynamic Islamic thought. The stagnant nature of methodology ultimately caused decline in Islamic thought, and decline in Islamic thought caused the decline of the Ummah. With this analysis, Abdul Hamid claimed that if we wish to see the Ummah rise once again, we need to understand the proper relationship between methodology, thought, and development of the Ummah. Hence, he genuinely argued, what do we need today is to bring necessary developments in methodology, which will guarantee the development of dynamic Islamic thought and will bring development in the Muslim world. It is therefore contended in the second edition by him that Islamization of knowledge has to be seen in this context of development of Islamic methodology, Islamic thought, and Islamic Ummah. The stagnant nature of methodology ultimately caused, according to Abdul Hamid, decline in Islamic thought, and decline in Islamic thought caused the decline of the Ummah. As it was claimed earlier, Abdul Hamid said, if we wish that the Ummah rise, once again, we need to understand the proper relationship between methodology, thought, and development. Hence, he genuinely argued, what do we need today is to bring necessary development in methodology. He further argued, this goal of development of Ummah cannot be achieved without developing Islamic thought in time, space, context. Mere imitation of the past or modern Western secular models of development would further create confusion, chaos, instead of guaranteeing development. He emphasized this in his writing 30 years back, that for guaranteeing development, we need to produce dynamic Islamic thought. The Islamic thought cannot be developed until and unless there is an assessment and reformulation of traditional methodology of Islamic thought. Its whole process of change, reformulation, and development of methodology and Islamic thought is needed, and this requires a change and reformulation in the process of education and dissemination of knowledge in the Muslim world. We are focusing more and more about Islamization of knowledge, keeping away the main goal and the main thrust of the development of Islamic thought and the development of the Ummah. Abdul Hamid contended further, we have to go through the process of change, development in the existing body of knowledge and educational system. It will help to provide, to develop a new mindset of the members of the Ummah. With a change in mindset, it is expected scholars of the Ummah would be able to bring change in methodology as well. It will bring dynamic, it will create dynamic Islamic thought. This change and development in methodology and Islamic thought would finally bring a change in knowledge, education, and mindset. And all this will have to be done in the light of the text of Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah. The whole process of change and development in knowledge, education, methodology, and thought is now designated as Islamization of knowledge. I'm coming to close my presentations, very close. IOK is a civilizational development agenda. As I'm arguing since the beginning, so far as the main goal of IOK is concerned, it was rightly observed and said that IOK is an expression of those intellectuals who are looking for an alternative framework for civilizational development. And we are determined to bring that civilizational alternative development. From this perspective, Islamization of knowledge is perceived as a civilizational movement. It is a civilizational movement of rethinking, taking the Quran and the Sunnah as the frame of reference. Since 1980s onward, it became a topic of general interest, a vital concern, just for Muslims, just not for Muslims, but also for the rest of the world. One author said this: Islamization of knowledge, they continue, offers a means to think about the present and the future of Muslim and non-Muslim realities in different way. According to them, knowledge does not occur in a vacuum. It is a civilizational artifact, a genetic code, and a genus of the living being that is a civilization. Coming to conclusion, Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, in his book, International Relations, New Directions for Methodology and Thought, had raised the most important issues of Islamic thought and its methodology and their stagnant nature. He had fairly established a link between decline of the Ummah and the stagnant nature of Islamic thought and its methodology. The same ideas further have been introduced and elaborated in the discourse on IOK by Abdul Hamid, especially in the second edition. They are fundamental for a better future of the Ummah. Hence, he said, for the Ummah, the Islamization of knowledge is at the moment a matter of ultimate priority. We cannot sacrifice this at any cost. It aims at developing a methodology for Islamic ideology, purifying it of all impurities, corruption, isolation, inertia, and different distorted vision from which the Ummah has suffered. Islamization aims at reinvigorating Islamic thought and its methodology by giving it access to the main fountain heads of the legacy of the Ummah. Its purpose is to achieve mastery of Islamic thought in various branches of human knowledge in order to build a sound contemporary Islamic base for dynamic action in spheres of life and civilization. In the absence of such reformation, Abdul Hamid contended reformation of thought and methodology. All of our efforts, activities are bound to be ineffective and insipid. It is important, therefore, to remember that without reformation of thought, thinking process, and in the absence of genuine, clear vision of Islamic life, Islamic society, of Islamic government, Islamic state, all efforts are bound to be ineffective and all sacrifices to be useless. This is the quote from the Abdul Hamid's edited book. The time for sermonizing is gone. We must now set our priorities right and refuse to neglect the basic issues. With all these clarification, there is a need to understand the fact that, again I quote, it is important for Muslim intellectuals, scholars, professionals, professors to realize that the economic, social, and political problems of the Ummah, very serious problems by any standard, are in fact just side effects of the real malaise of the Ummah. It is the cloudiness of vision, the weakness and deterioration of contemporary Islamic thought and its methodology that underlies such present maladies. Corruption, inefficient performance, inadequate education, and weaknesses of the moral character of the Ummah. I thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I thanks to all of you for listening me patiently. A special thanks goes to Dr. Amila, who did not stop me in between. Sorry, I have taken much time. I shared my views. I understood Islamization of knowledge. Lastly, I would like to offer my special thanks to Professor Kamal Hassan for making the issue of Islamization of knowledge an integral part of IIUM by way of including the issue of Islamization of knowledge in the constitution of IIUM. We all are under obligation to respect that and to maintain the spirit of Islamization of knowledge in our university as the mission of university, of the mission of Ummah, and the mission of all people who are looking for peaceful environment and healthy living. I thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you very much. Waqiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mumtaz Ali, for, mashallah, very inspiring lecture this morning. Even though I think I need to punish you for exceeding the time that you promised, supposedly 1 hour. Okay, but no problem. I could not stop you because you were, the flow of ideas was very smooth. And then, so let us give some chance for Professor Mumtaz.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will give you a special treatment, inshallah, soon when we will meet face to face.
Okay, mashallah. So from the lecture, we could see Professor Mumtaz went even to the life journey of the Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, such a very important figure. And then I would say that it also shows that when it comes to the area of Islamic thought. It is not a matter of thinking, but we could see Dr. Abdul Sulaiman was a real thinker and was original in his thought to the extent he kind of is asking for revisit the methodology of the religious knowledge of thinking and etc. And at the same time reflecting the real problems faced by the Muslim Ummah. And I would say that it is not only as if that not only stop by his death, but actually it is opening more into inviting and welcoming more scholars to venture into this always the new needs for this Islamic thought. MashaAllah. Okay, actually I want to invite if Tansri Professor Dr. Kamal Hassan is still here with us. We would like to invite him to give maybe a short speech or talk maybe. Is he still here? If not here, then okay, I don't think so. So then we can continue with our question and answer. So please raise your hand.
Sorry,
and
Dr. Amila.
yes,
Sorry.
you are here. I cannot see you. Please, please.
I was sitting far away. I just want to thank Prof. Mumtaz Ali for giving us, in a nutshell, the I would say the intellectual jihad of Dr. Al-Marhum, Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman. However, I wish this can be complemented later based on the non-English sources. He has written more in Arabic than in English. And the latest collection of his writings are all in Arabic. There are about 12 chapters in the latest book, which came out this year. So that will complement what Prof. Mumtaz did a good job in dealing with his earliest works. The first, the second, the third, the fourth. Yeah, but the later, he concentrated more on child education and also development of universities. But child education became his obsession towards the life at the end of his life. So I hope the department can organize another talk, this time focusing on his Arabic works, and then you can make a comparison with that. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much. Anyway, Prof. Mumtaz, for elucidating his early thoughts and his early concerns. Jazakumullah.
Thank you very much, Tansrif. You know my limitations. You are very familiar with me. So I had to focus on these books.
Never mind, let it be the first,
yes.
The first part. The second part.
I am aware of this, that he is focusing on children's education and children needs. I am aware of that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, thanks to Professor Muhammad Kamal Hassan. I think I remember also the last time I met him in the guest house inside the university, he mentioned on this, and I believe it is part also of the process of Islamization, because education is really important, and of course this is about the future of the Ummah. Okay, without further ado, now I would like to open for question and answer for session, and for those who want to ask question, you can maybe raise hand. We open first to the direct question before we read in the chat. Yes, anyone?
Maybe participants are hungry, they want to go for lunch.
You made them hungry.
Something.
But they are present here. They are present here. They did not leave the session.
Yeah, yeah.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Yes,
Pak
Professor Habib.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to Professor Mumtaz Ali and my highest appreciation for his comprehensive and systematic presentations. And I'm happy that you mentioned that what has been done by Professor Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman in his IOK is a civilizational movement. Civilizational movement on the framework of the Islamic worldview based on Al-Quran and Sunnah and the Tawhidic worldview is very important. And I would like to mention something about the impact. The most important from what has been done by Professor Abdul Hamid, it gives a great impact to the Muslim world in the university as well as in the civilizational life, in the cultural, social life of the Muslim and activities. Yeah. Because actually Professor Abdul Hamid has touched the very significant in the Muslim mind, the tajdeed, yeah, the what we call the reform in education, yeah, reform in the Muslim mind is very important. It will give a great impact for Indonesia, for instance, that currently I think hundreds of the universities already observed this methodology you mentioned, the Islamic methodology, Islamic worldview, and also the Islamic Islamization of knowledge. It's become the way they run the university based on the Islamic worldview, and also the impact to the life of the academic, especially the young, the millennial generation. The millennial generation is the generation with the new way of looking at the world and the future. Yeah. So future-oriented has been really observed and done very well by Professor Abdul Hamid, that the Muslim should be future-oriented. And the younger generation currently, just for your information, that during these 2 months, with the direction of Professor Darul Jamil, yeah, and Brother Fauzan, Nurdin, Brother Aslam Hanif, and Brother Sahran, we have done several programs. One of the program is daily lectures on the Islamic IOK, or the Islamization of knowledge. We invited 7 speakers, yeah, for 7 weeks. It means 49 days. Yeah. It will end this week. Yeah. And you know, the participants, and the first day the participant was 952 participants, 952 participants. And the second is 997 participants. Yeah. And the third day was 750 by Zoom and 363 by this Facebook and so on. So the way Dr. Abdul Hamid Abdul Sulaiman present the civilizational reform has been participated by the younger generation, and the younger generation has been really interested in this Islamic Islamization of knowledge program. So this program should be elaborate further, and we would be happy to share also when Professor Abdul Hamid came to Indonesia in the last time, 2010, we visited the newly established UIII, Universitas Islam International Indonesia, IAUI, International Islam University of Malaysia, Indonesia. And Professor Abdul Hamid came not only with the programs, but even he showed the what they call the miniature of the campus, the campus of IUM. It means that Dr. Abdul Hamid Abdul Salam is not concerned on the methodology, but even the campus itself should also be Islamized. And we came to the beauty president, to the vice president, and Professor Abdul Hamid Abdul Sulaiman explained very well on the idea of IOK and on the Islamic campus. So Islamization is not only in the thought, in the mind, but even in the campus. Professor Abdul Hamid really helped us very much. And once again, I would like to thank Professor Mumtaz that you have done very well in this regard. And I would like to see your writings and certainly all of us will invite, will wait for your writing on this. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Habib, for your additional remarks. Thank you very much. Allah may bless you.
Okay, can we have other question? We have in the chat the question about relationship between Ismail Raji Al-Faruqi and Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, and how these two scholars come into contact. Also, the politician Anwar Ibrahim come into contact. IOK and here in Malaysia, the Ummah. And then thank you this is Shahran from Triple-IT responded to the question. So in which Al-Faruqi was Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman PhD thesis co-supervisor at University of Pennsylvania. Abdul Hamid shared with us in one of his lecture at IUM that he was having a problem with one of the supervisors. Fortunately, the supervisor passed away and Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman can nominate a new one. He nominated Al-Faruqi, who was at Temple University and was approved by University of Pennsylvania. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman and Al-Faruqi relationship was such a unique relationship, a marriage of two brightest minds in the post-colonial Muslim world. So maybe Prof. Mumtaz want to add something or want to respond something about this?
Actually, as I learned, I have no chance to meet Ismail Faruqi. I saw him here in Malaysia when he visited in 1980. I was also attending one international conference here, but I had no chance to interact with him. So what I learned that gradually when MSA was established, it was considered a part of Islamic movement, and AMSS was established. So in these programs, Muslim students who were influenced by different Islamic movements, they invited Ismail Faruqi to give some lectures. In this way, Ismail Faruqi came into contact with the Islamic leaders and workers of the Islamic movements, and finally he changed his point of view and he stood for Islam and Islamic ideology and Islamic mission. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman luckily joined him as a student to complete his PhD thesis. So you can see what was cooking in the mind of Ismail Faruqi was reflected in his thesis. Therefore, when I read this book, International Relations, and I realized that since 70s, Abdul Hamid as a student and Farooqi as his teacher were thinking in terms of Islamic thought, Islamic methodology, and leading the Ummah intellectually to take Ummah out of the darkness of all sorts of, especially modern West posed, as said, an intellectual challenge. So what should be the intellectual response? Both Abdul Hamid and Ismail Farooqi joined together on this issue, and they work jointly. 2 years before I was there in Chicago, so one of my friend who was also very close to Ismail Farooqi, he told me that Ismail Farooqi and Abdul Hamid were very close, and they were very discussing issues and realizing that they both have to dedicate to the cause of Islamic thought and to the development of the Ummah. I don't know more than this, dear Dr. Amila.
Thank you, Prof. And some of the participants are asking about the slide. So I think better to contact Prof. Mumtaz directly, I would
Okay,
say.
inshallah, I will share with those who would like.
So please contact Prof. Mumtaz. Then we still have maybe 10 minutes before the official and time of this lecture. So anyone has any, maybe you want to share any ideas and etc.
Amida,
Yes, Tan Sri, yes.
since Pak Habib is still with us, and he mentioned the establishment of UEEE, and also the how Dr. Abdul Hamid expressed his views on Islamization, not just with regard to the education and intellect, but also the physical layout of the campus. And in IIUM, he put the mosque in the center. Fine, I'm not interested in that, but I'm more interested in how has the UEEI developed over the last few years. From what I read, it has about 180 something students. They all postgraduate, so it is a postgraduate university, whereas IIUM is undergraduate and postgraduate and pre-sessional, undergraduate, postgraduate. You have 3 levels in IIUM. In UUI, you have only 1 level, that is postgraduate. And I think most of the students are from overseas. What is the philosophy behind it? In our case, it is the Islamization of knowledge, integration of knowledge. In UOI, is it the, you might say, the Pancasila philosophy of knowledge? Or is it the Nusantara, or what kind of philosophy that we may learn from UIII? Thank you very much, Pak Habib.
Thank you, Prof. Kamal Hassan, for your kind attention. I just would like to share with you the recent development that since last September, the program commenced, and Alhamdulillah, they have also established the programs with the international student. And Alhamdulillah, Professor Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman has a very kind and also firm on the Islamization of knowledge from the very beginning. And because this is an international Islamic university, and our concern actually from the very beginning that IIIT would like also to support UIII to be an international Islamic university. So internationalization, we post, and we support them to develop this internationalization in the full sense and also in the Islamization. And since the rectors and deputy rectors, I know them very well because I know them since when they were students, because most of the, even the rector, he graduated from Pesantren Pabelan, where I used to teach, and the deputy rector also, three of them, Professor Jamhari Ma'ruf, Professor Alimun Hanif, and Professor Hindro Prastio, they also graduated from Pesantren Pabelan, and one graduated from Gontor, and the deans, Professor Dr. Nina Carmila, is also graduated from Pesantren Pabelan, which from the very beginning, they also adapted the integration of knowledge, like Gontor, because they graduated from Gontor and also from Pesantren Pabelan. I hope that they would also continue this idea of the integration of knowledge. And Professor Kamaruddin Hidayat himself, when he was rector at the State Islamic University, he adapted the integration of knowledge, integrasi ilmu pengetahuan. Because in Yogyakarta, State University Yogyakarta, integrasi dan interconnectivity. But in State Islamic University, UIN Syarif Bidal Jakarta, integration of knowledge. And I hope that they will continue. And just for your information, this coming November, State Islamic University, in cooperation also with this university, will organize an international conference on integration of knowledge. They also invited some speakers, including Professor Dato Jamil Osman, on the experience in integrating the education and the textbooks writing on the Islamization of knowledge. So, Alhamdulillah, so far, after the visit of Professor Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, where we also suggested them to visit IUM and some other SEKRETARIS office, most of the the rector and deputy rectors, they have visited IUM, received by Professor Zaliha and Dr. Berhud, and also the president at the time, the president of the IUM. And they have visited also the SEKRETARIS in Jordan, has been received by Professor Fathim Al-Kawi and also Professor Zaid or somebody else. And so the relationship with SEKRETARIS, Alhamdulillah, is going on. I'm in the what to call close contact because I know them very well. I am very close personally also with them. And I was asked also by Professor Abdul Hamid and Dr. Umar Kasuli to continue our cooperation with IUI, inshallah.
Okay.
Professor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Habib.
Maybe we have last question here in the chat box. Assalamualaikum, Doctor. Is there a relation between the golden age of Islam in the past and the mission of IOK? Okay, Prof, maybe 3 minutes. You answer. Thank you.
Yes, we want to see that golden age of Islam, but we need to understand what is that golden age, Abbasid period or the period of Medina? Which one is golden period? Anyway, there are certain qualities of our period, qualities, for example, justice, was done to everybody. Fair treatment was provided to everybody. Basic needs of the people were met by the government, by the society. This is a kind of period. This is a kind of model which we want to achieve through the development of Islamic thought. When we say development of Ummah, means members of the Ummah should enjoy justice. The weakest person of the society should give a witness that he is equally treated. I give you one example of Dr. Abdul Hamid. When Dr. Abdul Hamid left IIUM as rector and went back to Saudi Arabia, after 2 years or 3 years, he visited Malaysia. Dr. Arif Zakaullah told me that our Honorable Rector, former Rector is coming to Malaysia, so and so date and so is the flight. He provided me all the details. So I thought that I should go and meet him. So I went to airport and I learned that he has already arrived and he is sitting in VIP lounge. So I went to VIP lounge counter. I showed my card, IIUM card. He said, okay, your people are there inside, please go down. So I went there. When I went there, outside the room in which Dr. Abdul Hamid was sitting, one brother was there taking care of the visitors. When I reached there, he stopped me. He said, no, there are a lot of people here. They have no time. You cannot see him here. So I was just standing and I said, okay, no problem. If you don't allow me, I will not go inside, and I don't see him. So after 3, 4, 5 minutes, again, I humbly requested him that just I came here to at least you allow me to go and say salam to him. He said, okay, you go and just come back. Don't stay. Don't take much time. Just come back. So unwillingly, he allowed me. When I opened the door, I saw Abdul Hamid sitting in the center and many VIPs were sitting. I saw him and he saw me. As soon as he saw me, he got up and he walked towards me. And in between we met and he embraced me. I was not a VIP. I was never a VIP in IIUM. But from the very beginning, when I met him first time as rector and until I met last time him in Malaysia, same respect he showed to me. Same respect. I want that kind of model of society. That kind of model of society, I would call it golden society. And definitely, Islamization of knowledge. Recently, somebody has loaded one speech of him on YouTube. He says in that speech of 30 minutes, he says, we are thinking to serve sincerely. And really, he was sincere human being. So that he wanted to share, that we want to create a society in which all enjoy justice, prosperity, respect, honor. I saw sometime my own students have different attitude. But when I saw Abdul Hamid and Abdul Hamid saw me, he got up from his chair and he came towards me and he received me and he asked me, please have a seat. And after that, he was asking me about something. Then I said, I had promised already, I just come back. So I said, okay, Prof, I will see you later on. I came out. After that, another event is coming to my mind. One student came from Pakistan. He had done MBBS and he was offered Fulbright scholarship for his MS. But he created some interest in Islamic studies. So he came to IIUM, he joined and he wanted to do some studies in comparative religion. So he took one of my course, Islamic ethics. He was making some good comments. So I asked him, please come to my office. I want to talk to you. So he came to my office. I asked him and I motivated him that he should take Islamic thought as area of specialization. Because I realized he's really genuine, intelligent student. And I asked future of his studies, future plan of his studies. He said, I have so many financial problem, although I'm a medical doctor, but I did not practice and I did not accept Fulbright scholarship, this and that. So I said, don't worry, if you are determined for your master's and your PhD, he joined first degree program. Because he was not from Usuluddin, so department gave, I think, prerequisites. So I said, fine, I will try to find out something. So I wrote to Dr. Abdul Hamid that there is a student who has medical degrees. So our scholar in the past used to be first Hakim and then scholar. They know the physical diseases, so they can cure spiritual diseases in a better way. So when I wrote him a letter, and I sent him, I think already email started or something, or I sent the letter. So he asked me, please send your account number, I will transfer. I asked him 2 years, 6 months, 2.5 years, full support to this student until he complete his master's, and if he goes for PhD, then we will see later on. He simply said, he wrote to me, you just send your account, we will transfer in your account. 2.5 years, I think 18,000 or 20,000 ringgit he transferred, and I gave to him monthly. Later on also I joined. Recently I contacted one of his friend, very close friend of Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman. Very close. One student, female student, single mother, daughter, suffering from fees. I asked, can you brother give some helping hand? He sent 15,000 ringgit. First time he sent 8,000 in my account. Next time I asked, can you send directly to the student account? So he sent directly to the student account. Abdul Hamid had this kind of friend with him, himself. And I consider these people are really model of golden age. And they wanted to create this kind of human being who gives respect, who are ready to help the needy people. And there are a lot of people, I know a lot of students have. One day I was in parking lot. One brother asked me, can I have some ringgit, few ringgits? Because my son is without milk. I did not give any response to him seriously. I said, why don't you ask your supervisor something? I said. I thought he is just smilingly joking. But when I went back to my house in the night after Isha prayer, it came to my mind and I started thinking, maybe he was really in need of some money. So next day morning, I came at 8 o'clock and I was searching him. I did not find, so I left a message. Anybody sees him, please ask him to come to my office. So when he came to my office, I told him, I'm very sorry, brother. I took it in a joke or in some smiling way. I didn't realize seriously what was the situation. He said, really, we were suffering from without food, without money, without milk for my children, my child. And what happened? He said, you asked me to go supervisor. So I went to supervisor. He gave me some money. So I said, I'm very sorry, brother. I'm very sorry. So there are students in our campus who deserves financial help. And sometimes they deserve some counseling. I knew so many students. When I gave them counseling, they resolved the internal problems of the family. And I am learning through this process of Islamization of knowledge, the books which are produced by IIIT. IIIT is playing very good, remarkable role. Because when we joined, when I joined in 87 IIUM, when we started, at that time, books for dawa purposes were available on different issues, but books from Islamic perspective, academically written, intellectually sound, were not available. When American Journal of Islamic Social Sciences started publishing, and when Muslim Quarterly Journal started publishing, and IIIT started publishing books, we started benefiting from those books, and we use the content and the material of those books and articles in our classrooms, and we realized that students were also benefiting and enjoying from that. For every course, I was given one course, Philosophy of Science. I find so many relevant things. Professor Kamal, when Kuliya was established, identified 3 courses: Early Ummah, Man in the Quran and Sunnah, and Tawheed and Methodology of Human Sciences. Because of IIIT publication and because of American Journal of Islamic Social Sciences and other journals, I collected so many. Professor Anis had become already dean. So I went to him, I told him that nobody is teaching this course, Tawheed and Methodology of Human Sciences. I want to teach. So he smiled and he said, no, we will see later on. We will give it to some other people. He thought I'm not capable to teach that course. So what I did, within a week, I prepared a 7-page course outline. And I took to him. I included references from IIIT books, mostly from IIIT books and American Journal of Social Sciences. Professor Anis Ahmad, he started reading. First of all, he took his pen. He opened his pen because that was his habit, that if I go for anything, he will make some comment or he will make some correction. So he opened his pen. 7-page, I remember pages, course outline. He started reading from first, second, third until the end. Then he closed his pen and he simply told me, we will offer 2 sections. You teach one, I will teach one. A difficult course, Tawheed and Methodology of Human Sciences, a required course. Early Ummah was also a required course for the whole Kuliya. Man in the Quran and Sunnah was the required course for the whole Kuliya. And these people who took part to establish our university, IIUM and IIIT, all those people have best reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This university, IIUM, must be protected to its originality. And we all are accountable to before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the real, you see, Islam for me is not a religion at all. Islam is the truth, the reality of this world. Allah is the truth and reality of this world. He is not a religious God. The idea of God is reduced to a religious God. His existence is the truth, reality. And Islam is prescribed by him. You see, no philosopher dare to say that he is Al-Alim, Al-Hakim. Repeatedly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran that he is Al-Alim, Al-Hakim. All knowledgeable, unlimited knowledge, all wise. This is the truth. So I believe and follow truth. This university is disseminating truth and inviting people to understand the truth. The truth of this world and the truth of the next world and accountability in the next world are the realities. The real rule of law would be implemented on the day of judgment. All those who are killing thousands and thousands of people and developing financial scandals, all would be caught up on the day of judgment. No one can be spared. So, golden age, what is that? We need to understand based on the Quran and Sunnah. And Medina model of the Prophet ﷺ is the golden age, not the Abbasid period is the golden age. No doubt certain sciences, certain ulums and different things were developed. But the actual life model is the life model of Medina society, where one man has wounded, but he is not taking water for himself, offering to another wounded person, please you drink this water. This is the model of life. When Professor Naqibullah mentioned about perfect model, it impressed me. Yes, really, Prophet's model is the perfect model of perfect man. And in educational system, we want to produce human being based on that model of perfect man. Thank you very much, sister. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Mumtaz. And I don't see any hand. So I consider that is the last question, I believe. And yeah, the rest is just to thank the committee members, organizer on this, and then also to thank Prof. Mumtaz for this lecture. So, and then finally, I would like to thank, of course, Professor Mumtaz, Tan Sri Muhammad Kamal Hassan, and then Professor Habib, and Professor Shukran. And last but not least, actually, Professor Tamim is the person behind the screen, behind. So, and our committee members, and inshallah, see you in the future in our coming programs.
Inshallah.
And with that, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother Muhammad Rashad, attending my lecture.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody. And
Recording
you have given more time. Everybody has spent a lot of time, and still many people are here in our sessions. Not all of them left, although the lunch time has come. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Amila, for your session, for your time, for moderating this session. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you.
We should take pictures.
Professor Habib, thank you very much. Oh, Dr. Selina is also. Thank you very much.
Yes, I listened from the very beginning till the end.
Oh, okay. Anyone can take picture? So before we leave, Dr. Selina, do you know how to take picture? I don't know.
You are from Nigeria, huh?
I'm from Kenya, Prof. From Kenya.
From
I'm on
Kenya,
my handphone,
Kenya.
Dr. Amila. I don't know. But Brother Ismail, who is running the? Who is the host? Is Brother Ismail?
Yeah,
No,
that is my yes.
Maybe can get Brother Ismail to take picture.
Dinar, do you have your camera?
Dr. Mumtaz, thank you very much.
Who is that?
Who are you? Dr. Tamim.
Prof. Tamim.
Yeah.
Tamim,
No, actually, my house internet is disconnected. And I subscribe to the mobile data. I'm watching your program from outside.
Oh, mashallah.
Okay, so Brother Ismail is going to take pictures. So everybody open
That's
the
why
camera.
I'm in the dark now, outside.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So those who want to join
Please open your
picture,
cameras. Please open those who are present. Open your cameras. They want to take some photos.
Okay, I want to counting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Focus on Dr. Haslina. She appears in the center of the screen.
Okay, 1, 2.
I am from my handphone.
Mashallah.
The last one, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Ismail.
Thank you, Professor Habib. Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to see on the live.
Yes,
Thank you, Professor Usama. Thank you very much for your
Thank
efforts, for your time, and for
Your
energy.
speech.
Thanks for the lecture.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Habib, thank you very much. Inshallah, we hope to see you again and again. Inshallah, in our program.
Thank you, Prof. Tamim.
Assalamualaikum.
Habib. Hamid,
Waalaikumsalam wa rahmatullahi
Yes,
wa barakatuh.
Professor Kamal Hassan, thank you very much for your encouragement. I was really showering when I started my lecture.
That's great. That's great.
Okay, thank you, brother Lubis. Ahmad
Yeah,
Lubis, thank you
you
very much.
explain the
Inshallah, if Allah
chronology,
wishes, we will meet
the
sometime
journey
in
of,
Malaysia.
Inshallah. I mean.
Inshallah. Nice to
Yeah.
see you. Nice to see
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Salam.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Kamal. Thank you, Prof. Kamal, for attending the program, Prof.
Yes, the whole program he attended until the end. He is here.
So I'm leaving. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.
Yeah.
شكرا بارك الله فيكم.
Okay. Barakallah.
Thank you all for attending this program. Inshallah, the Department of Usuluddin will organize more programs of this nature. We will invite you. Please attend all those programs from November onwards, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
شكرا. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.